So what is the formal title of this session? Local social meets real-time search? Who remembers?
One or all of those things.
Yes.
Something like that.
Okay, so we're supposed to be talking about real-time search in the context of local and social here. And why don't, I mean, Sokratis was already up, but why don't each of you introduce yourselves and your companies briefly to the audience?
My name's Andrew Hunter. I'm the general manager of Qype. You heard from our head of community, Rob, earlier on. I'm based here in the UK, and we're a local review site based around social networking.
My name's Dave Ingram. I'm the CEO of Brownbook.net, which I founded with the ex-CTO of BT Directories about 2 years ago. We raised some seed capital in May last year. Right now we're just setting about growing out the site with our investors. Future for us is continuing to grow Brownbook.net, but also building upon, we currently have 5 sort of local social business directories that we built for other publishers, so that's some of the future for us as well.
I've had my go already.
No, you can use your...
I'm Sokratis. I'm the CEO of TrustedPlaces.com, which is a local reviews community site based here in London.
I'm Sébastien Provencher. I'm co-founder of Praized Media. After working 8 years for the Canadian Yellow Pages, I founded this company to help traditional local media publishers embrace the new social web through technology modules.
So we've heard a great deal about social media, social networks, user-generated content, mobile, and then obviously local. And now we're introducing this concept of real-time search into the discussion. So we had a call before this session, and we talked about a range of issues sort of circling this concept. How many people in the audience understand what real-time search means or have some idea when that phrase is used of what it means? How many people don't really feel like they do and will admit it? Okay. So, sir, why don't you explain your confusion?
I understand time-based local searches, things like events, but in real time, I don't understand where it would be used or how you get the data.
So where the data come from and what the use case is as a practical manner. Okay.
I mean, I understand events, but other than that, time-based, no.
Okay. So he was the only one who didn't understand it. So we don't need to do the panel, right? No. But why don't each of you go through some sort of working definition that is in your mind when that phrase kicks in? Something that's relatively succinct, and then we can unpack it.
So there's also an element of confusion in my mind around what real-time search is. There's so many different definitions on the net and people claiming to do it. I personally believe that real-time search is a piece of information being published and then consumed immediately or almost immediately. So let's say, for argument's sake, less than 60 seconds. Someone tweets something, it's read by a number of people, that's real-time search for me.
For me, it's a little bit different in the sense that it's not the actual content that has been published real time, but perhaps it's been brought to the surface faster than a search engine would index it. So an article gets published, or say Michael Jackson dies, and somebody will tweet or post in Facebook in an amount of time that is shorter than, say, Google would take to find that and put it in its search index. I think there's another second behavior that is usually bundled when people talk about real-time search, and that is, and again, I can't say I have the definition for this. It is work in progress. I think people bring in under local real-time search the fact that people are asking other people for questions. It's more like, if you like, human-assisted knowledge discovery as opposed to local search. So very much Q&A. Where should I go for dinner tonight? Who can help me discovering X on the web? So bypassing search engines altogether and using other humans as source of information.
In my case, I think real-time search first starts with real-time activities. So aggregation of activities that are coming from internal, your own website, or external sources of content. So everything aggregated together in which shows you what's happening actually in the last few minutes or few hours in your city. And then real-time search is actually what comes with it, the ability to drill down and find that information that has been aggregated in the activity stream.
Dave, did we hear from you?
I was just going to say what he said. No, actually, I put some thought into this. I think there are at least 3 components of real-time search. So one is, the most obvious one is probably the immediacy and the currentness of the information, which you may not get from traditional web search. The second, of course, is local, because it's in the title. And the third, because of perhaps that risk of having irrelevant information, is the ability to have some relevancy around perhaps recommendations from people I might know or I'm connected to. So some sort of way of ranking or measuring the credibility of information.
So I'm hearing 2 principal things here. The idea of recommendations that are exchanged between people.
I think perhaps as necessity, but this kind of for me as a secondary. Obviously, it's local and it's the currentness of the information, but I think that brings a challenge with just noise and junk, which may need some method of verifying the relevancy or the importance of the information to my query. I mean, Google does it with ranking its results, right? But how do you do it in real-time search?
Actually, on real-time search, I think one of the benefits of having a local search site is that you have access to local data, so local structured data. And as soon as you have structured data, you've got headings, you've got tags, merchant names, cities, phone numbers, things like that. So if you can take that information and match it with unstructured content coming from, again, a variety of sources, not just Twitter, I think you can create a very interesting relevancy engine behind it.
Of course, it's not necessarily relevant for every query either. It might be relevant for, so I want to go and grab some food or have a drink. But, recently I've been looking for someone to cut a concrete slab in my driveway. I don't need real-time search for that. It's not relevant to me.
Real-time search has been composed to date of two elements, usually the Facebook status updates and the Twitter API. And you've 2 or more of you have talked about word of mouth or recommendations as a component of that. But how does it specifically play out in a local context? I mean, the idea of having a database of structured information that you simply surface doesn't really qualify as real-time search, does it?
I think it does if you surface the activities that are going on. Let's say you take a local search site. Within that site, every minute there is activity going on. So people are searching, people are reviewing, people are making phone calls. If you're able to data mine your own website, you're actually able to create a very interesting local real-time activity stream out of it, and then you can search on that.
I think there are 3 sort of channels for me within a local search site and making the results relevant enough. You obviously have your live search stuff going on right now, which will be important to some users. And then there's, I guess, the popularity of a certain place or of a certain query. And then you have your final sort of relevancy piece. We, as sort of at Brownbook or at TrustedPlaces and at Qype, we have a huge amount of information about our users, about search behavior, and I think it's about packaging that together based on the user's intent. So how can we bring back the real-time stuff, the most relevant stuff to the user, and also the most popular stuff, and present it in a structured way?